All right, everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to FormAWin, where we help you get your first engineering job. Today we have Mrs. Saul Gibson, better known as Vox. She's served our country. She's done awesome things. She has company. She has 3 degrees. She's kicking butt all around in every area. So take notes, get a notebook, get a pen and piece of paper. Let's get into it. So, Ms. Gibson, tell us about yourself.
Well, no
Thank you so
pressure.
much.
That introduction. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Michael. Yeah, it's really nice to meet you. I'm excited to be here and share my experience, and hopefully, something will benefit your students and audience. So, thank you for inviting me.
Of course. Thank you so much for being here. Like just looking at your background, you've done so much, and I know so many students have big aspirations, and you're on your way to accomplishing a lot, but you've already achieved such a significant amount. It's not even funny. So when I saw your profile, when I learned a little bit more about you, I just knew you had to be here because you're definitely the definition of what FormAWin is about, which is success, being your best self, living your best life, and you're doing that in aces. So I can't wait to ask you some questions, and hopefully everyone can gain one thing from this at minimum, apply it in their life, and just go out and change. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and kind of what you've done to get where you are now?
Well, I came from humble beginnings. I'm an immigrant. I came to the United States September 24th, 2001. Actually, I was supposed to arrive September 12th, 2001, but uh, you know, everything was closed, and
Yeah.
September 11th, unfortunately, happened, and we were stuck in the airport for a long time. And then we made it here to the US on September 24th to JFK. Now, coming to the US as an immigrant, as a refugee, you really are starting your world from nothing, from zero. So I didn't speak English. I was just a recent high school graduate. My mom didn't have money. I mean, we were political refugees. And I worked for food. So my first 6 months, I worked at a grocery store from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. And I just got paid with groceries. Believe it or not, that happened here in the United States. And Buffalo, New York, where I walked from my house, in Riverside, Buffalo, all the way to Canmore, was about 3.5 mile walk in the snow back and forth. So I knew this wasn't going to be the rest of my life. I knew this was temporary and I had to do it. And I knew it the harder I work, the closer I get to financially stable life. So I kept going to school, went to school to learn English as second language first at the International Institute. Slowly started, getting smaller jobs, retail jobs. Worked at Radio Shack. I made it to be the youngest store manager at Radio Shack at
Oh,
age 20. I had 12 people work for me at age 20. So that was an amazing start. And from there, I went to work in insurance and finance. I was an investment advisor, put in about 5 years there. And I just wanted more, right? I wanted to get out of Buffalo. I wanted to work for the government. I wanted more than what I was doing. I just felt like I've done everything I could in my circle of finance, right, in Buffalo, New York. So went back to school, did my master's in statistics in a geography department, and moved to Washington, D.C. Started my career as a data analyst at Booz Allen Hamilton. I was there for about 3 years, and I got recruited to work for a company that did defense contracting. And so I did that for a while until the company got bought out. That's how I got the name Vox. That was my call sign, hanging out with pilots. And then went to work for the Air Force, deployed multiple of times. I ended up spending a total of 2 years in the Middle East in deployed locations. Came back, worked for the State Department. Actually, State Department brought me back to start an open source intelligence department for Secretary Pompeo, and did that. COVID happened, They closed down. I
Mhm.
went back to the Pentagon. I was an IT strategist. And in the meantime, I was dating my husband, and he was an F-16 pilot. And so he wanted to move to Nellis Air Force Base for his career. So I kind of quit my job and left everything behind. We got married, and I thought that was the end, coming here to Vegas. But God's good. I started my company, CYROOT, and it's been great success for a startup. Um, so I've been managing multiple smaller contracts, but this year I was able to hire, expand. I started a nonprofit organization, CYROOT Academy, to provide education, free education to veterans, military transitioning to civilian life, and underserved communities, because I believe education is really the key to do whatever you want to do, right? You could just chase your tail all day, or you could invest in your education. But then if you can't, if you don't have the means, then I want to support you. I want to provide that platform for you to pursue your education and join us in IT and cybersecurity, in management, whatever you want to do. So that's my current venture that I'm working on.
That is incredible. Everyone just think about where she started and then where she is now and all those trials and tribulations she had to go through. I mean, and then you tell me and tell them too about how rooted you were in your why, because it sounds like you're super passionate. You had to make it happen. You made it happen. And throughout all those experiences, like not a lot of people start off young, managing a lot of people, work their way up and have all those awesome great experiences because they're not rooted in their why. They're not super passionate. God is good, and not a lot of people are backed with all of that, right? So, like, kind of talk to me a little bit about, just how, like on those dark days, right, where you were super rooted, or you were questioning if you should work hard, or maybe take a little bit of a break, or not keep going, like, just like what, like, just kept you going.
Well, here's the thing. I early on in my career, at Radio Shack, I went to Radio Shack. I was 19 years old, and I was looking for a cheap phone. And the reason I was looking for a cheap phone because someone told me you have to have a resume to apply for jobs
Hmm.
at a restaurant, right? Because we need to see your experience, which it was none, right? But they're like, well, leave your phone number. And I didn't have a number. We didn't have a house number. We didn't have a phone number. So I went to Radio Shack looking for a number. And the manager said, well, what are you looking for? Like, what kind of phone? How many minutes do you need? That's back when we used to have 400 minutes for
Hmm.
39.99. And I said, well, I'm not going to talk to anyone. I don't have friends. I don't know anyone. I just want it in case someone wants to call me to hire me, because I'm looking for a job. And he said, well, what are you looking for? And I said, I would do anything because right now I work for groceries and it would be really nice for someone to pay me anything. And he said, I will hire you. Fill out this application. I couldn't read. I couldn't read English, so I filled it out the best I could. And I spoke terrible English at the time. And he went and fixed it. And he said, I'm going to give you a chance because you're someone that deserves a chance. And that changed everything. That moved me from working for tomatoes to selling TVs and RCA receivers and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, and I was so driven because to me, that was an honor. It was an opportunity someone trusted me with. So I did everything I could. I showed up, if not on time, then early, closed late. I volunteered to help other stores. So people took notice and they're like, do you want your own store? And it was very difficult. Someone has very little culture and language skills. Now I have to do financial reports, inventory, do payroll.
Yeah.
So I had to learn that on a young age. But the district manager at the time said, if there's anyone should be a store manager, it'd be you. So he gave me that opportunity. And that continued to happen throughout my career. If someone said, I see you're driven. I see you deserve an opportunity, and I'm going to give you one. Years later, when I went to Washington, D.C., I was kind of stuck at Booz Allen Hamilton. I couldn't really do much as a data analyst. And when a recruiter called me from this small startup company, the CEO interviewed me, and he was asking about my life story, like, what's your background? What do you do? What do you know about the Navy? And so I told him, I'm like, I don't know much. I don't come from military family, but I do, have a degree. I went to school, blah blah blah. And he said, "What do you know about the Navy?" And I said, "Well, the night before I looked up United States Navy on Wikipedia, and I learned about, the ships and the fighter jets." And so I start talking about that, and he said, "Stop, stop. You don't know jack shit." He literally said that. And I was terrified. I was like, "Sir, I know what I know is from Wikipedia." And he goes, "Well, obviously, I'm going to hire you, but it's not because of your knowledge of United States Navy or the ships or fighter jets. I'm going to hire you because you deserve an opportunity, and I'm going to create a job for you." And he sponsored my security clearance, and that changed everything. He gave me an opportunity of a lifetime, right? He brought me into that defense industry. He elevated me, and that was a second opportunity that really turned my career around. But that continued to happen to me, Michael, as I showed the drive and the enthusiasm. Someone took notice and said, "I got something for you."
And that's and like that's it, and that's what I try to teach with FormAWin, because not like there's so many students, there's so many people that have a little bit of that maybe, but like we just need to pull it out of them even more, right? Because I mean there's so many people that are kind of passionate, but then they don't show that in everything that they do, right? And I can tell that you're like that, right? And that's why you were given that opportunity, I think. And like what's like one piece of advice? I mean, I want to talk about that, and then we'll kind of talk about specific technical stuff, because I think the data analyst is a little bit more specific for engineering students. But I mean, everyone should take every experience you've had, see what you talked about, then kind of apply it to their life, but kind of bringing it back to that drive, right? And making sure that we're pushing that, and how students need to just pull that out of them maybe a little bit. What's one piece of advice you think you would have for students kind of going through it, not really clear on what they're doing, what they want to do, and how to just stick forward, or just like just what's one piece of advice you have for students there?
You have to believe that you are your own champion. You have to believe that it's up to you to make it or break it. You got to stop whining and complaining about how no one is there to help you, right? So I get that a lot from students, and I quickly shut it down. I'm like, I didn't have anyone to help me. My parents divorced when I was 14. I moved to two foreign countries. I had to learn the language. And my mother was not an amazing, parent. She was very abusive, broken because of the divorce. In fact, she walked out. She left us for months without money, right? So I had to find a way to teach, my sister to do her homework and do the laundry and, feed them. So it you don't need a support system to make it. Like, get that out of your head, right? If you're coming from, broken family, divorced parents, if you grew up poor, if you didn't have an opportunity, go make your own. When I wrote my thesis, I used a quote from George Bernard Shaw. He said, "Those who get on in the world, um, you know, find the opportunities they need. And if they can't find them, they make them,
Yeah,
right? So
exactly.
go make your own opportunity, and you can do it. If I could do it, not speaking English, you can definitely do it. Being born and raised here, if you are, being in engineering school, you're probably a lot smarter than me now with all, my experience. So there's nothing stopping you. That's one. My second advice, a lot of students, Michael, they take my classes. So I teach in multiple universities. I teach cybersecurity, and I always get, you know, um, am I doing this for an entry level job? Like, how do I get this, management job, or what do I have to do to get this analyst job? And you have to earn everything, right? There's no recipe for success. You have to work hard. You can't be a young person talking about quality of life,
Hmm.
and taking the time off and working 9 to 5. Like, if you're gonna be like that early on in life, then you're not gonna make it. So
Yep.
you need that attitude adjustment. You gotta work hard. You gotta work for it. You gotta go get it. You gotta be your own champion. You gotta make a plan. You gotta fail, and you gotta get up, stand up again, and do it again and again and again. It doesn't stop for the rest of your life. That's my
I
advice.
love it. That's it. That's it. Everyone take that, apply that in the video, and like that's enough as it is. We're gonna keep going, obviously, but like that's amazing, and that's what it is. And I think that everyone needs to take that to heart, kind of remind themselves of it. Whether that's a vision board, some kind of reminder on their phone, or just anywhere that they're looking, right? Because if they just keep reminding themselves of that, if they're going through it and they're struggling and they're not connected with that yet, and it doesn't make sense yet, once it makes sense, that's that light switch, and that's when things start changing. So that's awesome. Thank you so much for that. Now in terms of becoming a data analyst and getting in there, what do you think is a way that students can maybe make an opportunity for themselves? So we talk a lot about working hard and then maybe making that happen and opportunities present themselves. That's why I consider myself lucky. And then same with you because we make opportunities happen because we are super rooted. We have a good reason, we have a good why, and we work super hard. So then the opportunities come. But like, what's one way you think students can maybe make an opportunity for themselves to get into a position?
Okay, you want to hear another
Tricky
story?
question. Yeah, sure. There you go.
So when I moved to DC, right? So I was very successful in finance. I was agent of the year. People trusted me, gave me their money, and I just ran out of people and things to do, really. So went back to school, did my master's, and my dream was to work in intelligence. I wanted to work in intelligence. I wanted to, work for the government. I spoke languages now, I kept learning, and I wanted to do that. So I took a chance. I just moved to Washington, D.C. I didn't have a job. Booz Allen didn't reach out to me, right? I got a job at Rite Aid. I got a little studio in Alexandria and I was making $12 an hour at Rite Aid, just enough to pay my rent, right? And ate ramen noodles while I was looking for a job. And I was there because I wanted to meet people and know where to apply. And I remember my first month, I applied to 125 jobs. I made an Excel spreadsheet, right? Being a data analyst, I'm like, who? POC, 125 jobs. No one reached out to me. Nobody. No one cared. So I knew that I didn't move to DC to work at, Rite Aid. I wanted to work for the government. So I started looking through temp agencies. And that's when I found out about Kelly Services. I don't know if they're still around, but it was a temp agency. So I started calling, all staff and recruiting agency. Like I would go to work, I'd come home, and I would be like, "Hey, I submitted an application. I saw you have this job. Is it still open?" And people will often ghost me, like, "Yes, thank you. We'll take a look at your application. We'll call you back. Goodbye." So I'm like, all right, that's just how it is. I can't take it personally. It can't be me because I just did my master's. I have experience in finance. Like I know I have something to offer. And one young lady sounded really nice on the phone. She's like, "Oh, what's your name?" Asal. She looked it up. She's like, "I see your resume. Okay, I might have a job for you. There's like a data analysis job that I have. I'll call you back." And I said, "Well, what's your name?" She says, "Yasmina." So I wrote it down and I said, "Yasmina, um, what time do you go to work?" And she said, "Why?" I said, "Well, I want to come by and introduce myself." And she said, "No, no, really, I will call you." And I'm like, "Yeah, I will just bring you a cup of coffee. I just want you to see me so you remember me because I know you get lots of phone calls." And this girl's like, "Oh," like no one had said that. And she said, "Well, I come in at 8." I said, "Okay, I'll be there tomorrow." Got up the next morning, put on my suit, high heels, got Starbucks coffee, and walked up to her office. And I said, "Hey, this is me. Just want you to know that I'm a person, not just a piece of paper." This girl made it her life goal to get me a job that day. She called Booz Allen Hamilton and she said, "I have this amazing person. Like, you gotta interview her right now." And it was a temp job. It was 3 months to fill in for someone while they're on maternity leave. I ended up being there close to 3 years. And I still tell this story about Yasmina and all these people that gave me opportunities, right? Um, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here without them, but also I wouldn't be here if I didn't knock on that door. God said, "Oh, knock on the door and I should open," right? So for these students that if you're looking for a data analysis job or a fancy job or whatever, call that company, call that person, make that connection, go meet them, go talk to them, go introduce yourselves. I still have a hard time with students when I say, hey, if you meet someone that you want to go work for, they're very busy people. Say, can I buy you breakfast? I'd just like to buy you a breakfast. Everyone eats breakfast or everyone eats lunch. And I just want to have half an hour with you to pick your brain on this. And people are like, well, I don't have money. Like, really, you don't have money. You're investing $50 in lunch with somebody that's going to respect you because you showed the initiative. Really, that's what it takes. People want to connect and they want to feel that you are someone that would go above and beyond. Because if you show up at 8 o'clock in the morning to introduce yourself to someone that doesn't know you, you will be also that worker that will go above and
Yep.
beyond to make a project happen. So my advice is hard for a lot of people because we have a lot of introverted people that
Yep.
would freak out. They'll be like, "There's no way I would do that." I've had students who were like, "That's awesome. There's no way I would do it." Like, you got any other ideas? Like, I don't know, apply for jobs, like fill out
Yeah.
applications.
Guys, ladies, everyone watching, that right there, that story is like the definition of form a win. That's how you form a win. That I mean, that's it. That's how you make opportunities. So many people don't want to do it. From whenever you did that in the past, like that opportunity still hasn't changed because just like you said, there's still a lot of introverted people. There's still not a lot of people taking that action and being super committed to what they want to do and just getting their foot in the door. You just need to jam that foot in the door. Like for me, really quick, like this wasn't even an engineering job, but I was looking to work at a restaurant, and then I went. It was like the hiring day. They had 30 people go there. Okay, here, fill this out. Come bring it in. All right, wait to be called in for your interview. Then everyone just waited outside, sat there on their phone, la 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 la. And then I was like, all right, I'm not gonna just sit here. So I held the door for everyone coming in. I happened to hold the door for the person that was gonna interview me because they were just coming in. And then there you go. That was it. Like that. Like that's how it works. Like, and then I went to the interview. They were like, oh yeah, you held that door. And it's just something so overlooked. So even at a career fair, I mean, I talk about this all the time with my students too. When you go to a career fair, same thing. Apply that, apply your experience. Just keep applying it. If it doesn't work the first time, keep going, keep trying, and then you'll get there. And like that's really it. So I want to
Exactly. Yeah,
wrap
that's
this up.
a good story.
Um,
Thank you for sharing that.
yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, thank you so much for sharing that because everyone needs to hear that. Everyone needs to process that because that's how you actually make opportunities for yourself, just like you did. And all the success and everything that you're working on and all your goals, like what are some of your goals for the future now? Like we already talked about what you're doing now with your businesses, but what are some of your goals for the future?
My goal is to get my company stable enough to provide that safe, healthy environment for my employees. So as I worked, in different places, I worked for some people that shouldn't be in those positions, right? That made life very, very difficult. Um, that all stemmed from fake it till you make it. There's a lot of people that faked it and made it, and they don't belong there. And my mission is to bring this environment together for people to thrive. So I hire only my students, and I hire only those who are, they participate in class, they do their homework on time, they reach out to me for one-on-one. These are the people I give opportunities to. So I don't tell people I'm going to hire anyone every class I teach. And in the end, I'm like, all right, I have a list of 5 people that I'd like to interview. And that's how it is. You could ask my employees and they would tell you. And they all came on, they came on part-time, they got promoted to full-time, and they're doing amazing thing for my nonprofit. My senior developer is just amazing wealth of information. He's been a developer for 20 years, wanted to learn cybersecurity. I got him to join to help me build this platform, and he's been doing just amazing. And I continue to tell my employees that thank you for taking a chance on me because I'm nobody, right? I'm just a small, and my goal is to make this environment successful for them to thrive and for them to think of new ideas and really grow with me, right? This is not just for me. This is a company for people to thrive. And same with my nonprofit. It's for people to learn and to thrive in the environment. If I can just do that, then I will consider that a success. If I have to let my employees go because I can't pay them or I fail, that is a huge fail for me. So my goal is to do everything possible to keep that going for the people that trusted me and took a chance on me. That's what I want to do over the
That
next
is
couple of years.
beautiful. I love it. Well, listen. Thank you so much for joining us here. Everyone watching, if you like this, please like, comment down if you have questions, connect with her. I'll drop down her LinkedIn in the description, and then we're gonna have a part two sometime within the next month. And
Thank
just let us know if there's anything else you guys want us to cover. Mrs. Saul Gibson, thank you so much for this. This is golden, and I wish you the best, and we'll be talking soon. Thank you
I
so
appreciate it,
much.
Michael. Go get it.